What's up, family? We've discussed Pookies versus Squares from the Pookie point of view. But today I feel like it's needed to speak on Pookie versus Squares from a Square point of view. Why why Pookie has resentment, hate, anger, frustration towards a Square. You see, in these dynamics, we always look at Pookie as if he is in the right or as if he's the one who should have the problem. And I feel like that's just angled at how we look at society or how we look at our community. But I believe the Square, quote unquote, the Square, needs as much light in this conversation as well, as much as the Pookie does. So why does Pookie have resentment, hate towards a Square? Well, to backtrack a little bit, a lot of it is just projection. A lot of it is just projection. You see, a lot of us are conscious about how we appear, who we are, our backgrounds, our home environments. A lot of us are conscious of that. We may not know how to articulate it, but a lot of us are conscious of it. So when you're conscious of your background, you come against somebody or you come around somebody who does not reflect the same background as you, but reflects the same physical features as you, resentment can start to build up. Anger can start to build up. It's only projected towards that other person, but it's really stemming from yourself. A lot of Pookies may project that sense of anger, hate, envy towards the Square. And it may come out as, bullying, talking shit, talking down, anger, frustration, fighting, whatever the case may be. That's how it plays out, but it's all projection because the Pookie feels like he is not on the same level as the Square, and this is truth. Like I said, we're all conscious of our backgrounds. We're all conscious of what we're capable of. We're all conscious of how people view us. And Pookie understands that he is not on the same level as the Square. He understands this. He won't admit it. But in a funny sense, he does admit it. How does he admit it? He admits it through his hate. He admits it through his projection. It's just covered up or masked as bullying. And because a lot of times when this dynamic has its most strength, when it's in the Pookie's corner, is when the Pookie is at his highest reign. So we believe the way the Pookie is thinking and behaving is accurate to feel that type of way towards the Square. See how twisted that is? But these dynamics eventually change. These dynamics eventually turn. A lot of times these dynamics really play out its most or at its highest when we are most immature, when we're not fully developed. Sometimes this could be in middle school, high school, elementary school. And sometimes this can still carry on to your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. There's no age limit to maturity. But a lot of it is dealing with projection. A lot of it is projection of how the Pookie feels about himself and projects it upon the Square. He may feel that he's better than them. Pookie may feel that the Square is better than him. And this is how he feels internally. So he can't see, or he's fogged by his own self-hate. He's fogged by his own sense of not being enough. He's fogged by all this. So what he sees is a square trying to be a tryhard or a lame, not cool enough. So he puts up all these stipulations of why a square is not a real one, or a square is not supposed to be respected, by how he talks, how he walks, how he dresses, how he communicates, what he uses to entertain himself, how many girls he has. That's a big one. Oh, you ain't got no hoes, you ain't no real man. We hear that so many times. Or how many bodies he has or doesn't have. And I'm not talking about, taking somebody. I'm talking about, partners. How many partners he has or doesn't have. He uses all these stipulations to as a barrier for him not being a real one, or not him being a man. This is what Pookie brings up, because he deep down understands the dynamics. To Pookie, this is what makes a real man, because this is what he's been taught. This is what he's been shown. Yet it doesn't work out like that. Because when those tables turns, all the things that the Pookie prided himself on will eventually be his downfall. And the things that the square neglected on his rise are the stepping stones for him to reach his success. That's just how twisted this is. You see, Pookie understands that the square has some kind of decent home environment. He has somebody who cares about him. And this hits on a deeper level where it's hard for Pookie to even articulate it, when he understands that the square comes from a decent home. He understands when he sees the square wearing regular clothes or nice clothes. He sees the love that somebody poured onto him. He sees somebody pouring love into him. And that can cause some kind of rage. That can cause some kind of anger, sadness. It stirs up an emotion. When he sees that you come from a different background, a different home, or sometimes even a better home. Sorry to say it, but sometimes even when you come from a better home, a home with love, Pookie doesn't have that. So when he sees the square, he sees that. He sees that you go home to somebody who cares, somebody who loves, somebody who's building you and molding you. And that plays a big part into it. And even if you're a square with a single parent, two parents, or even if you live with grandma, or even if you're not financially having it, it's love in that home because it's showing on you. There's not as much toxicity and drama in that home, and it shows on you. It's somebody pushing you to do better, and it shows on you. And deep down inside, Pookie, if he's not with himself, if he's not aware of himself and his situation and why it's happening, if he's not conscious about that, he'll project all that hate on you. He'll project all his anger upon you, his frustration, his sadness, his depression. He projects that upon you. Sad to say. And now even this leads into opportunities. Well, the square is granted more opportunities because of who he is, what he's done, how he carries himself. And the Pookie looks back and he can't get a step ahead. Well, in the square life, in the real life, in the quote unquote matrix, it's hard for him to get ahead. He doesn't have the tools. He doesn't have the help. He doesn't have the knowledge, the know-how, the education. Granted, it was all granted to him as an opportunity, but sometimes you don't understand, or you don't know how, or you don't have the means or the reason to grab hold of those opportunities. So you neglect them. to what in your world seems to lead to success. See, Pookie is rooted in a different world, and in his world, different things lead to success, but only marginal success, only momentary success, not in real world success. And deep down on an instinctual level, they know this. So even the opportunities of you going to school, you going to college, you getting a good education, you getting more job opportunities, you more job offers. This hurts the Pookie because he sees you going up in his stagnation. See, anybody who's stagnant in life will hate the one who's rising. That's just general life and human dynamics. And that's how it plays out in our community. The women. This is a big reason why Pookies resent squares, is women. See, we all got it twisted. We always think that the squares have all the women. I mean, the Pookies have all the women. All the women want Pookies. And when they're young, immature, looking for dopamine hits, looking for excitement, looking for fun, not wanting to build and all these things, not mature, or they come from toxic backgrounds, or that's what their imprint is. Of course, yes, that's what they're going to run to. Of course. But when they grow up, those dopamine hits of wanting to be in shootouts or bailing him out of jail or not getting her ass whooped will lead to dopamine hits of wanting to go on vacation, wanting to remodel certain parts of your house, wanting to go car shopping, sending y'all kids off to school, buying new clothes, going shopping. These are the new dopamine hits that she longs for. And Pookie cannot give those to her. Sad to say. See, stability is something that he can't give to her. A decent family is something that he can't give to her. Fidelity is something that he can't give to her. Emotion, care, guidance, leadership, the ability to pour knowledge. These things are something that he really can't give her. All he can give her is dopamine hits and back shots. And he knows this on a deeper level. That's why he's so tuned into that. That's why every Pookie knows how to fuck. Because he knows that's all he has. If he runs out of dopamine hits and fucking, he is done when it comes to women. That's why he prides himself on that. But he sees you don't have to pride yourself on that because you have multiple ways of attracting these women and keeping these women. What happens when the dopamine hits run out? What happens when this fake physical intimacy that happens for 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes? What happens when that runs out and it's no longer fun, pleasurable? What happens then? He's done. He don't have anything else to stimulate her mind. He doesn't have anything else to bring to the quote-unquote proverbial table. And that's where the Pookie loses and the square wins. And he knows this. That's why he keeps him such in a daze, in a high. Because he understands when she sobers up, it's a wrap. That's why a lot of Pookies talk shit when the woman finally leaves and gets with a square, or a woman chooses to be with a square, because he understands that square is giving him something. That square is giving her something that he could never give her. He may want to, but he hasn't taken the time to reprogram himself in order to do that. And lastly, the clash of masculinity. Hypermasculinity versus cool, calm, subtle masculinity. It clashes. One has been taught that this is the way, and one knows that this is the way. One thinks that large bravado of you should respect me versus presenting yourself and attracting that respect. A lot of Pookies have it twisted, thinking that you should force your respect upon people. And when he sees somebody who gets respect without having to do too much, it hurts his inner ego. Because now he has to work on the tools, he has to work on himself, he has to do the self-reflection in the mirror work and the shadow work to wipe out all those things that he was built upon, that built him up. When he sees you getting respect and not having to do too much, that hurts. The false lies that you built yourself upon. And even he thinks that you're supposed to be loud and obnoxious and rambunctious and raw. So he tests you, he pushes your buttons to see if you really built like that. But a lot of times, what do they say? The loudest one in the room is the weakest. Again, the loudest one in the room is the weakest. And sometimes that Pookie is the weakest. He might be physically strong, he might know how to fight, but he is the weakest because of his mental. And if you're not strong mentally, I don't care how strong you are everywhere else, you will fail. You will lose. Let me know how y'all feel about this. I hope this can help somebody. I greatly do appreciate y'all for listening. This is your favorite cousin, Rich. Y'all be safe out there. Love and blessings.